Hello everyone. If, like me, you are noticing something peculiar about the last few days, you'll be asking exactly what this video is going to try and answer. Where is President Trump? But first I think it's fair to go through some of the insane stuff that has been going on after the events of the 6th of January. So on the 9th of January, about 3 days after the large events of the 6th took place, Nancy Pelosi asked the Pentagon about preventing Trump from using the nuclear codes, i.e., we are going to stop Trump as his position of commander-in-chief because some boomer shitpost went into the Capitol building. And, you know, people did die at that event, two, I believe. One police officer and the other was the woman who got shot in the neck. Which, by all accounts, from what I can tell, neither of those people had to die or should have died. And I condemn any violent activity that happened on that day, including the smashing of windows, the theft of property, and any unlawful trespassing. As I say, I generally agree with Louis Levi on this subject. But the amount of people trying to pin the blame on Trump for this, I think is just very far-fetched. Yes, he was riling up his crowd, as he always does, but he never at any point advocated for in any way going inside the Capitol building. He just wanted a protest to try and rile people up to get his day in court, which he deserves. Because at the very least, if there is nothing dodgy about this election, I don't know why we would try to avoid the day in court to actually have a look at the evidence put forward. That at the very least would show some of these protesters that yes, we are trying to be transparent with this election and we don't have anything to hide. But you're not exactly doing a good job of that. But anyway, let's get into the subject. So, Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Friday took the unprecedented step of asking the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff about available precautions to prevent Trump from initiating military action abroad or using his sole authority to launch nuclear weapons in the last days of his term. This is always the thing. Everyone thinks Trump is unhinged, and I don't know why. What in the last 4 years has he done that is actually unhinged? Because every time I'm told he's done something unhinged, I'll look at the actual sources and read into these things, and it's perfectly fine. He hasn't done anything unhinged. He's just being a president and being a bit inflammatory. He's not going to send any nukes to the Middle East. Jesus Christ. In a phone call to the chairman, General Mark A. Milley, Ms. Pelosi appeared to be seeking to have the Pentagon leadership essentially remove Donald Trump from his authorities as the commander-in-chief. That could be accomplished by ignoring the president's orders or slowing them by questioning whether they were issued illegally. They're just trying to go behind his back and take him out of his elected position in his last few days. They're just trying to take his power from him. Unconstitutionally from the looks of it. It's like they're trying everything in the book to neuter him. But General Milley appeared to have made no commitments. Short of the cabinet invoking the 25th Amendment or removing Mr. Trump through impeachment in the House and conviction in the Senate, it is unconstitutional to defy legal orders from the Commander-in-Chief. So there you go. Nancy Pelosi, a Democrat trying to be unconstitutional? Imagine my shock. Ms. Pelosi's request, which she announced to the Democratic caucus as an effort to prevent an unhinged president from using the nuclear codes, was wrapped in the politics of seeking a second impeachment of Mr. Trump, and we'll get onto that as well. Now, on the surface, this does seem pretty bad. This does seem like the Democrats, or specifically the Speaker of the House, who happens to be a Democrat, Nancy Pelosi, trying to take matters into her own hands to neuter the president's power for purely political reasons. As this article mentioned, they are going for a second impeachment as well, which we'll get onto. But just for a bit more context, Colonel David Butler, a spokesman for General Milley, confirmed that the phone call with the Speaker had taken place but described it as informational. He answered her questions regarding the process of nuclear command authority, he said. But some Defense Department officials clearly resented being asked to act outside of legal authority of the 25th Amendment and saw it as more evidence of a broken political system. They said that some political leaders were trying to get the Pentagon to do the work of Congress and cabinet secretaries who have legal options to remove the president. So, it's not quite a coup. I think calling it a coup is going a bit too far, but they are worried that it could go that way, I suppose, is what to take away from that. The one issue that has worried officials the most is Iran's announcement that they have begun enriching uranium to 20% purity, nearly the quality to make a nuclear bomb. In December, Mr. Trump asked for military options that might be taken in response to Iran's escalating production of nuclear fuel, but he was talked out of it by a number of top officials, including General Milley and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. And this is a thing that I can always admire about Trump. He does trust his advisors. Trump has put people in place that he feels he can trust, and he does get advised and take the advice of the people he's put in place. Because Trump seems to understand that he doesn't understand everything. So he puts people in these positions that he can trust to give him good advice on these options, which in my opinion makes a good leader. But obviously you've known that I think Trump's a good leader for years, so here we are now, talking again how the Democrats are trying to neuter him. Speaking of which, Trump charged with impeachment count as FBI warns of armed protest. Trump set to become the first president to be impeached twice. Pelosi, Trump had arranged unhinged, dangerous president. Lovely stuff. So yes, they are attempting to impeach Trump for a second time. Why this one would succeed anymore, I don't know. Why, when you have neutered President Trump's entire online presence, when you are trying to call the Pentagon to say, can you stop Trump doing his job? And now you are trying yet another avenue to humiliate / completely neuter Trump for all future endeavours, politically. I think we can say if these people had any more power, we would be under a tyranny. Oh wait, on the 20th that might be the case. So Donald Trump is facing a historic second impeachment after Democrats in the House of Representatives formally charged him with one count of incitement of insurrection over the Capitol Hill riot. 5 people died in the attack last week, including a police officer, which Trump prompted when he told supporters to fight like hell in an attempt to overturn the election to defeat Joe Biden. Yeah, completely out of context. You know, Trump's always meant legally, he's always meant non-violently, let's say. When he says fight like hell, he obviously doesn't mean storm the Capitol with grenades. Emergency video footage has revealed just how close the mob came to a potentially deadly confrontation with members of Congress. Yes, this is why I can't fully get behind people going into the Capitol building on the 6th, because it's just giving the left all the ammunition they need. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think they were going to try and impeach Trump anyway and try and take the nuclear codes off him after the 6th, no matter what happened, even if it was fully peaceful. Don't get me wrong, I understand that. But if things aren't going to get better, I don't see why you should partake in something that is going to make things worse. I don't see how this has helped yet. Because this one police officer dying, that's everything they are going to push on it. It's like, one cop died thanks to this. And 4 other people died, though that woman who got shot is absolutely the security guard's fault. But this is the thing, it's going to be like, oh, this Capitol riot where 5 people died. That's the narrative now, and that's not a good thing. But it just makes the Guardian's job so much easier to try and justify this, and I don't think that's ideal. I mean, seriously, I'm not going to go through it now, but this article does have about 25 paragraphs justifying this move, simply by talking about the things that went on the 6th, including the FBI arresting dozens of people for it. But while all this is happening, while the tech oligarchy has completely depersoned Trump from the internet, they have literally Alex Jonesed him, and while the Democrats are doing everything in their power to get rid of him a few days early, despite the fact that they apparently won this election and are walking into a free 4 years of a Biden presidency, though let's admit it, it's probably a Kamala presidency, we have yet to see Trump since he has been removed from the internet, and I do mean that. We have heard practically nothing from Trump's own mouth. We haven't even really heard things from spokespeople for him. His entire team's off the internet too, by the way. What we have had is this very odd screenshot from the official Department of State website saying that Donald J. Trump, as the President of the United States, term ended on the 11th of January at about 20 to 8, and I assume that's Eastern Standard Time. If you go to the source of this tweet was made way before that time, a few hours before, in fact. And BuzzFeed News, for some reason, got the scoop on this. It was apparently a disgruntled employee that changed the State Department's website to say that Trump's term ends today. Today, obviously meaning the 11th when this article was written. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is launching an investigation after biographical pages for the President and Vice President were changed on Monday. But this is just how deep the Democrat and leftist activists are. For some reason, they have the power to change the State Department's official website to effectively, well, troll the Republicans, really, and Donald Trump. And quite frankly, whichever staffer did that should be fired. But still, none of this explains really where Donald Trump is. This just got people worried that maybe he'd been assassinated or removed from office prematurely or something like that. But then everyone got excited because Fox News had a notification for a live stream saying that President Trump speaks after big tech shutdown. And that was done about 2 hours before the actual live stream started. And to a lot of people's surprise, the live stream changed to live Joe Biden speaks on Capitol Hill riots, with, yes, Joe Biden in a polo shirt looking like he suffers from dementia as usual, just chatting shit. I don't know, I didn't watch it. Why would I care what someone who's going to be in office for about 2 weeks says? So once again, I was a bit concerned that, well, where is Trump? Why hasn't he said anything for, close to a week at this point? Though thankfully now Fox News is having a live stream at the moment, as I'm recording this video, saying that Donald Trump is going to be visiting the US-Mexico border in South Texas at about 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And it is worth pointing out that this news was shown yesterday by Erin Cruz, who is running for Congress, saying President Trump will speak from the Alamo in Texas tomorrow, which means today, on the 12th. Which is all well and good, but now Trump is fully relying on mainstream media to get his voice heard by the public. Which obviously isn't a good thing. Twitter and social media was his most powerful ally with bypassing the media, but now they've kicked him off all the platforms. And they've completely got rid of Parler. It cannot run because Amazon refused to host it on their servers. And hopefully that will be fixed soon, because I really want to get off Twitter, but I think I'm going to be one of those people that's going to stay there till I'm actually kicked off. So keep following me there if you still have an account. But if not, obviously you can find me on the alternative media platforms. So one final thing I want to cover in this video is the fact that after the quote-unquote riot on the 6th of January, there has been an increased military presence in Washington, D.C., as you can see in this video. Obviously that's just a snippet, but you get the idea. But Trump did do quite a mad lad thing with this. So President Donald J. Trump approves District of Columbia Emergency Declaration. Today, President D.J. Trump declared that the emergency exists in the District of Columbia and ordered federal assistance to supplement the district's response efforts due to the emergency conditions resulting from the 59th President inauguration from January 11 to January 24, 2021. The President's action authorises the Department of Homeland Security Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, to coordinate all disaster relief efforts which have the purpose of alleviating the hardship and suffering caused by the emergency on the local population, and to provide appropriate assistance for required emergency measures authorised under Title V of the Stafford Act to save lives and to protect property and public health and safety, and to lessen or avert the threat of a catastrophe in the District of Columbia. So no one's actually entirely sure why there's a higher military presence. A lot of people seem to be speculating it's basically done because people are worried about an armed protest when the 59th inauguration does occur, which, I'll be honest, having an armed protest in a capital city of a country never really ends well. And to be honest, if Donald Trump's put the military there and has a state of emergency for that reason, this is just yet more evidence that he is not a fascist dictator who is trying to conduct a coup. Because generally it's not militaries that perform coups successfully, it's when a dictator tells the military to stand down and lets his supporters do the coup for him. So what exactly Donald Trump's plans are with this state of emergency in Washington, D.C., I'm not entirely sure. Could it be 28D chess? It could be, but I doubt it. I honestly think he just wants to avoid any more unnecessary death. He did come out with a video not long after the, they call it a riot, but the incident at the Capitol building, saying please stop the violence, please stop. Even Alex Jones was saying don't go in the Capitol. And I do think it's because both of them do know exactly how this was going to be used. And I also think both Alex Jones and Donald Trump don't want any unnecessary violence or death. Because Donald Trump just wants a free and fair election. Alex Jones wants the same thing and a lot more liberty. And honestly, I'm with them. Because it appears that no one is on our side. Well, obviously the Democrats aren't. Quite a few senators aren't, even Republican ones. And obviously the courts aren't on our side either, given how quick they were to throw out all the issues that Rudy Giuliani and Trump's team had with the election. So I can see why quite a few people may be desperate, but I don't think we're at that point yet. But I do completely sympathise if you feel that the United States is losing all of its political integrity. I may even agree with you on that. But I'm on YouTube and I do not want to get my channel banned. But yes, the answer to where is Donald Trump is, well, apparently Texas today, but where has he been for the past few days? That is what I want to know, because at this point, given that he can't be bashful on Twitter or anywhere else for that point, and even people like Ron Paul aren't allowed to post to Facebook anymore, that gives him a great opportunity to make plans and execute them in the background without anyone knowing. So maybe he's been doing that for the past few days, and maybe at 2 PM Eastern Time today, we will finally get some sort of Hail Mary, but who knows. But obviously until then, I can't know any more, and that's everything I've got for you today. So, as usual, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.